Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy, and welcome to everyone. My name is Mandy Shintani, and I am an occupational therapist and a gerontologist by background. I'm coming to you from my living room here in North Vancouver. I started a company called Urban Polling about 15 years ago. We were one of the first companies to bring Nordic walking to Canada. We coined it as urban polling, so you might be hearing me referring to it as that, both for fitness and for rehabilitation. And as well, 15 years ago, we developed these activator poles, which are being used by people with Parkinson's, actually, I'm excited to say, all over the world now. We have them available in the UK and Ireland and Australia and now throughout the US. So if you didn't attend my first presentation, I'm really briefly going to talk to you about, well, why, just go over why would you use poles for walking and for exercises. And then I'm going to talk to you about a few tips to make using your poles when you're doing seated and standing exercises a little bit safer and hopefully more effective so you can get more of the benefits. And I'm going to be doing most of my exercises back there. So I'm just going to move back there just so I can show you what are some of the benefits of using the poles when you're walking. And I'll go through the tips and then we'll start off with some seated and standing exercises. So I just want to let you know for this first one, I am going to keep it at a lower intensity. Amy's going to let me know if I'm going too slow or too fast, or if you can't hear me, please give me that feedback, because this is one of the first times that we've actually been doing virtual exercises. We do a lot of our programs in person, but of course with COVID, we're moving towards giving more virtual exercise programs. So any feedback that you have would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so I'm just going to head back there. Okay, so when I first started hearing about Nordic walking 15 years ago, I heard it from my Swedish neighbor, where this is very popular. It's used by people of all different ages, whether you are a preschooler, a working mom, an Olympic athlete, or an older adult. People use walking poles throughout Europe. And one of the neat things I found as a therapist is that there are 300 independent studies about the use of Nordic walking poles in PubMed, and there are 19 on using poles with people with Parkinson's. And I have to say, right now, we have people using our poles both for fitness and for all conditions for rehab. But still, the people who call us the most or email me the most are people with Parkinson's, just because the change is pretty dramatic. And I think that people just find it to be a really fun tool as well. Okay, so what are some of those benefits? Well, you can see when I'm using the poles, it forces me, particularly when I'm pressing down on this ledge here, it forces me to have more of an upright posture. And when you're using poles for walking, like please, I'm going to show you seated standing exercises, but please don't forget that they are meant for walking around, so you can walk around in your neighborhood. As you know, walking is one of the few recommended activities right now. What you'll notice is that it is the same movement as your normal walking pattern. So it is just opposite arm and leg, okay? And the thing that's so great about using poles is that it tends to make you over exaggerate your arm swing. So as you know, with Parkinson's, one of the conditions that we really want to manage is not doing, as we all do as we get older, that more of that shuffling and small gait pattern, that walking pattern that we get into. We want to keep moving our arms and lifting up our knees. And the great thing about lifting up, having that balance to lift up your knees, is that for many of us, the reason why we fall is because we're not lifting up our knees anymore. We're walking flat-footed, and that tends to make us hit cracks in the sidewalks or around our house, edges on our rugs and doorways as well. So it's really important, and one of the things I really like about it is how it really reminds you to walk in that functional pattern. And what they find is that the more that you walk in a normal walking pattern, the less likely that you're also at risk for falls as well. The other thing is that every time I push down on the ledge of this handle, okay, so every time I swing my arms, and same when we're doing exercises, I'm going to keep reminding you, push down. Because every time I push down, what I am doing is actually exerting a core strength in my abdominal muscles. And as you know, it's this core strength that is key for ability to sit to stand and ability to walk. The other thing is that you can use the base here if you've got painful hips and knees. When you press down, the research shows it takes anywhere from 11 to 33% off your hips and knees. Okay, so you got strengthening, increasing your cardiovascular workout. So you may have heard about a recent study that shows that when you're in the early stages of Parkinson's, you want to increase your target heart rate. So this can take simply walking into a higher intensity exercise to help you reach, they said about 80% of your maximum heart rate is how you get optimal benefits from your exercise. Now, if you're in the later stages where it's really just about balance, the poles can help you so that you just feel more safe and more comfortable with that bilateral support, so you can do walking and you can do things like participating in this annual walk that's coming up in September. Okay, now what would be the benefits of using it for seated and standing exercises that I'm going to show you today? Well, same thing. Well, first of all, before I talk about the benefits, I'm just going to reduce the height of the pole. So if you have your poles right now in, for example, I use mine in hole number 8, I'm actually going to shorten the length of my poles. I'm going to put them in hole number 3 because you don't want your poles to be so high up that you're raising your shoulders in a comfortable position. You want to be in a nice, comfortable, upright posture. But at the same time, your shoulders aren't hiked up, they're upright, but they're comfortable and you're not doing your exercise with a lot of tension. So you can see the first thing is that the poles help me from not being slumped, and I'm a bit of a slumper, I have to admit, sloucher, I should say, not slumper, sloucher. So you can see right away, the poles pushing down on that ledge forces me into an upright position for my exercises. And the reason why you want to be upright is you're going to use more of your core, and also you're going to get less shoulder, back, and neck issues than if you exercise like this, okay? The other thing is that I can press down on the base here when I'm doing exercises. I can press down the base here. I can also get some core exertion. And then when I stand up later, do exercise with you, I can take weight if my knees hurt me a little bit or my hips are a little bit sore. I can do some exercise and take some of that weight off those hips and knees, okay? And the other thing is when we do exercise like leaning forward, because I've got that bilateral support, see how much more comfortable I feel getting bigger movements. And as you know, with programs like PWR, LVSD, they're all about how do we get you to do nice big movements when we're doing exercises, right? So it's all about strengthening and big movements. So use your poles to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve for exercise and rehabilitation. Okay, so let's talk about what are some tips that we can do to make sure that when we are doing seated exercises, we're doing them in a safer manner, okay? So one of the things I find that is helpful is make sure you've got a sturdy chair. You can see I put my chair against the wall here just for even a little bit more stability because this chair is not as sturdy, as strong as I would like it to be. And then later on, I'm going to do standing exercises, but I'm going to have the wall behind me. So I've got the poles to give me bilateral support in front and to the side while I do exercises, but also I can lean back as well and I've got the wall behind me. Okay, so we've also talked about shortening the poles. The other thing is, I'm just going to put the screen down so you can see my feet while I'm doing some of these seated exercises. Make sure that you have good walking or running shoes on. Okay, so I've got actually my day hikers on, which I love because they give me so much support. But if you don't have good shoes on, take a few minutes right now, go and get some. And the other thing is, what you'll find is, if you need more stability in the exercises, keep your legs apart. Okay, the more your legs are apart, the more if we're doing exercises like this, I can use my legs to really help to support myself, versus if my legs are together and I'm doing these exercises. See how I don't really have much support other than the poles? But bring my legs out and I got lots of support side to side. Make sure you've got some water handy for the exercise. If you want to have a snack, you can put that as well. And then the last thing, so I'm just looking at my cheat sheet here, is make sure that the ledges are facing outward. So I'm going to come in close, okay? So there is a right and a left side to your poles. And the reason why is so that it fits your hand ergonomically, but also it's this ledge here that we're really going to be pressing down on for core strengthening, for balance, and for offloading. Now, if you've got poles that have got straps, I would suggest for today you don't use the straps, just because it's a new set of exercises, and I just don't want, what the study shows that when you got the strap, if you do trip or the pole gets caught, you're still attached to it, so you'll go down with it. So if you don't have the ledge, if you don't mind, just for increased safety, not to use your straps for today, that would be appreciated. Okay, so let's start off then with doing some exercises. So first of all, let's just get our posture in place. So some of you may be slouching like I am, and now bring yourself up. That's right, and rounded, and bring yourself up. That's it. And let's do that a few more times. So you've got a rounded back, and we're going to bring our shoulders, up, but not hunched up, and our shoulders back. Okay, very good. Okay, great. Now I learned this from Dr. Becky Farley. I just attended a session with her with PWR, and she's often starts off with, let's open up our hands and get them exercising as well, okay? The reason why this is such a great way to start off too is it just is a reminder that the whole idea when you're using the poles is you don't want to squeeze them tight. You actually want to have a pretty loose grip and a pushing down on the ledge. So let's do that 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we've got nice posture, and we've got our hands right on the ledge with a loose grip. And let's just breathe in deeply. And so you can expand out your stomach and breathe out. And that just helps us to remind us of, let's breathe throughout the exercise. When you hold your breath, you're not getting as much oxygen into your body. And so breathe in a couple more times with me. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in. And when you breathe in your air right to the base of your feet, so you can really feel like you've got your feet nice and stable on the ground. And I love those exercises because it also reminds you that while you want to have nice posture, your upper body should stay relaxed, okay? Because that's just going to increase the tension in those joints. Okay, so let's start off with just a nice march. Okay, so remember, good posture, upright. If it's easier, you come a little more to the edge of your chair. And let's start off with a nice march, and we'll do it for 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to add out 2 kicks. That's it. And we're going to go back to marching again. A lot of the fall prevention exercises are based on knee extensions. Let's do 2 kicks again. That's it. And back to marching. Hip abduction, adduction. Let's bring your hips in and out, and your ankles, plantar dorsiflexion, okay? And kick out again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to count to 4. We're going to kick out twice, and then we're going to bring our knees to our chest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, kick twice. 1, 2, and then knee to your chest, knee to your chest. That's it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, kick 2. 1, 2, knee to your chest, knee to your chest. And remember, if you can't do these movements, just do what you can, okay? And always sit down or stop if you feel dizzy. And the whole idea is really just to keep you moving. Knee, hip to your chest, hip, chest. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kick, kick. Knee to your chest, knee to your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kick, kick. Knee to your chest, knee to your chest. Okay, very good. Now let's do that one where we're practicing moving forward. So take your 2 poles and move forward. That's it. You can lift and plant, or you can just bring them forward and back. That might be a little bit easier. And you see how the pole gives you a little bit stability in front to be able to lean forward. And just lean forward as much as you feel comfortable. That's it. And let's do this for 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to add on another PWR move. We're going to actually lean back, and we're going to relax our arms, spread them out nice and wide. That's it. And we're also leaning back. And let's do that for 4 more times. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, can we combine those? So we lean forward and we bring our arms, spread them apart. Lean forward, spread our arms apart. That's it. Lean forward, spread our arms apart. Remember, keep your legs nice and wide apart. That'll give you a lot more stability when we do these exercises. That's it. So let's just do that for 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, perfect. Now let's get yourself a bit of a rest, and we'll just go back to marching. That's it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the poles to do a bit of stirring. So bring your poles together, and I want you to pretend that we are stirring a stew. Okay, and the benefit of doing this exercise is look how much I'm shifting my weight from one buttocks to the next. Shifting your weight is key in terms of balance. Okay, so now we're going to stir that with a little bit wider. That's it, and wider. If you feel more comfortable, just stay with the small stirs. But if you want a bit more challenge, we're going to go wider. And now we're doing a big witch's brew. That's it. And now you can see how I am going from one side, then I'm leaning forward. That's it. That's it. Great. Perfect. Okay, now let's go in the opposite direction. So again, let's start off with a small stirring of the stew in one direction, and then we're going to go a little bit wider, wider. That's it, and wider. Excellent. Excellent, that's it. And let's do this for 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do something that kind of looks like we're doing the breaststroke. So hopefully we'll get ready for when the pools open up eventually. So you're going to bring your poles together, bring them forward, then make a circle on both sides. Bring your poles together, move forward, do a circle. That's it. Move forward, circle, bring them back together, move forward, circle. Okay, so let's do this for 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, can you see how I'm moving forward and back? Let's just practice that one. Just keep them open and just going forward and back. That's it. Okay, and now let's do the breaststroke in the opposite direction. So now I'm going to bring the poles back, around, come forward, back, around, come forward. That's it. Forward, back, around. That's it. Okay, why don't we do this for 3 more times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Excellent. Now, I've been going around to different places, and I'm calling this one my Canadian kayaking. So I want you to put the 2 poles together, put your hands on top, and now what we're going to do is we're going to just use the poles as if we're kayaking out in the ocean today. We're seeing some seals and some whales, and you're just going to go nice and slowly. Okay, and again, if you can feel it, I'm actually moving from one buttocks to the next. Again, my feet are really far apart, so getting a lot of stability. But let's say you want more of a workout, really dig in there, and you are just moving your kayak forward at a nice pace. That's it. That's it. Excellent. Okay, let's do this for 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. Again, remember, doing all of these, just do what you can. And now we're going to do some tapping. So let's just use our heels and tap out to the side, give our upper body a bit of a rest. And we are really bending our ankle. Ankles are really key for balance as well. So you really want to do a lot of exercises on strengthening them. Do you ever notice it's oftentimes your ankle that gives out when you're tripping or falling? Okay, so it's your heel to the side, and let's do that for another 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now let's go back to your kayaking again. That's it. Legs far apart, and we're heading down that ocean with a nice pace. Remember, if you want to, just do this movement as small as you want and not as much shifting. And then if you want more of a workout, you can go all the way with shifting back and forth from your right and your left buttocks. Okay, and we'll do that for 3 more times. 1, 2, and 3. And make sure you are breathing. Let's do a big breath. Whew. That's it. Okay, now let's go back to that. This time we're going to do toe tapping. So we're going to take, same thing, we're going to tap out to the side, but do it with your toe this time. That's it. Your toe to the ground, and we're going to do that for 6 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. Okay, now we'll take your poles. Let's put them on a diagonal, and we're going to bring them out front. If you want to make this a little bit harder, you can shift back and forth. If it's easier, you can just stay in that one position, bring it out on a diagonal. Okay, let's do 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and let's just bring your feet back to marching. Okay, this time what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a diagonal, but we're going to keep alternating. So we'll do a diagonal on one side and change to the other side. Okay, so diagonal here. That's bring it back and do it in the other direction. And that's it. Okay, so keep putting your poles on a diagonal, come forward, and then lean back and change the direction. Again, if you don't have poles, you can do all these movements along with us. Just pretend that you've got the poles in your hand. Okay, we are going to do the last couple of seated exercises. They're called jumping jacks. Bring the poles in and bring them out. Okay, sort of like seated jumping jacks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can we try to do them together? Pulls and arms together and bring them out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we're going to do a few exercises to strengthen up our hips. Pretend that you're making foot circles in the air. And let's move to the other side. That's it. You're moving your leg from your hip and you are making a few foot circles. That's it. And let's just alternate. So we'll do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And I can really lean on my poles there and push down to make sure that I've got nice posture while I'm doing that. And we'll keep moving along with marching. Okay, the final one we're going to have to do in sitting is, I'm going to have you do an exercise that's great for looking at how to keep up strength from sitting to standing. And so just lean forward, bring your buttocks off the seat just a little bit, and that really works your core muscles. But it also is a way to remind you that when you are getting off your seat from sitting to standing, you always want to shift your weight forward first. You can put your legs further apart for more stability. And then you're going to use your core to bring your buttocks off that seat. Okay, so let's do that 2 more times and then we'll go into standing. Okay, and 1, and 2, and stand back up. I'm just going to give you a bit of a break to grab some water. I'm just going to bring the screen up and then I'm going to change my poles, make them a little bit higher, and we're going to do some exercises in standing. Okay, everyone, so you can take just a couple minutes of a break, grab your water. Okay, and I'm going to move my chair away, and I'm going to put my poles, adjust the height of my poles. I'm going to bring them back to hole number 8. Because that's the height that works for me for my elbows being at a 90-degree angle. So when you want to use poles for balance or support, you keep the pole vertical and you also arrange the height so that your elbow is about 90 degrees. You can go a little bit lower if you're worried about your balance. You can make the pole a little bit lower. That's going to help you out more as well. Okay, so hopefully we can move now into the standing exercises, and I will have you do some marching. Sorry, I'm just going to move this chair over, but keep on marching if you want to. And that's it. Okay, now put your poles apart and let's just work on that weight shifting again. So let's just go from our right to our left leg. Remember, just do it a little bit if you're a bit worried, and if you want a bit more for a workout, bend your knees and really shift back and forth. Back and forth. That's it. Okay, let's do that 3 more times. 1, 2, 3, okay, and let's do some fancy footwork, and let's bring our legs to the side. That's it. That's it. You can bend your knees, make sure your hips are nice and square. Again, nice upright posture, and let's bring our legs out to the side. Okay, and let's go back to that marching for a little bit of a break. That's it. You can bring your poles together and apart. Together and apart. If you just want to do something to bring up that full body workout while we do the marching steps, or if you just want to use the marching for a bit of a break, just use your legs. Okay, let's bring in another exercise by Dr. Becky Farley. And this one, what we're going to do is we've got the one pole here for stability. Take the other pole and reach to the ceiling. Okay, reach to the ceiling. If you feel like you want both poles on the ground, then just move from side to side like this. But if you are able, you can take that pole and reach it to the other side. That's it. That's it. And let's do that 3 more times. 1, 2, 3, Okay, and let's go back to marching. And pulls in, pulls out, pulls in, pulls out. And let's do that little bit more of the dancing, bring your pull side to side. And I'll just show you a movement that people sort of associate with pole dancing. So if you want to impress your spouse or your neighbors with some pole dancing moves, we're just going to move our hips in a circle here. Keep our knees bent, and we'll go around in a circle. Give our hips a bit of a range as well. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to bring you towards the end now, where I'm just going to focus on us just doing a few stretches to finish off, and that is bring your pulls together. You can go in a little bit of a lunge position, and hopefully that's going to give you a bit of a stretch on that back leg. That's it, and bring it out and to your opposite foot. Bend your front foot forward. Stretch out your back leg. You should feel it right in the back of your thigh right here. And of course, you want to hold it. Nice posture, breathing in nice and deep. So good work, everyone. And we'll just go a little bit from side to side with doing some stretching. So again, I'm bringing my leg, I'm bending one knee forward, the other one is straight, and I'm just getting a bit of a stretch in my thigh as well. That's it, and hold it there. Great. Hold it there. To the other side. And if you can, let's do a bit of an exercise for our ankles. Can you just move forward so you're putting your weight on the top of your toes? That's it. If you can hold it, that's great too. Perfect. Okay, and if you've got a little bit of time as well too, remember you can finish off your exercise with doing with walking with your poles. Remember to keep your elbows bent when you're using them, if you're using them more for balance. But if you want more of a workout, there's another technique which we call the urban pulling technique, and that is you keep your elbows straight. The pole's now on a diagonal. I can move this to changing it over to a boot-shaped tip, and I can bring my arms out a little bit longer. My stride gets a little bit longer, and I get more of a workout when I use the poles in this style. So if you're in the early stages of Parkinson's and you really want to bring up your heart rate to that 80%, that maximum target heart rate, and you don't have any issues with your balance, you can always keep your elbows straight, your poles on a diagonal, and then you push down on the base of that handle as you walk through. So that's what always gives you that core strengthening, is when I'm pushing down on the base of that handle as my arm swings through. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. And if anyone has any final questions or feedback, I would be happy to answer those.
Thank you very much, Mandy. So like Mandy said, if anyone has any questions or comments or feedback about today's session, it is the first time that we're doing this series, so please do let us know.
Yeah, and I just want to mention too, I tried to make it a little bit easier for today. I can see, sorry, that it was a little bit shorter too as well, but during the following weeks, we will, of course, just have the sessions just on exercise, and we will be increasing making them a little bit more varied and intense as we go on, if that's the feedback that we get from people. So I'd just be very interested, what did people think about the speed or the difficulty of the exercises? Would they like that to be a little bit more intense for the next week? And so if people have feedback regarding that, that would be great. So I'm sorry, Amy, I can't see any questions or feedback. Are you, will you just be passing that on to me?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I think you should have access to the public chat room. If you, there should be a sidebar on your right, and there should be 2 chat rooms, a public one and a presenter one.
Oh,
But
okay.
if you're not able to see that, I can read what people have been saying. Comments are slowly trickling in. Someone has asked if this session is being recorded. Yes, it is being recorded, and it will be on the website. Someone has said here they're looking forward to the rest of the series, and yes, the intensity was okay.
Okay. Okay, great.
We also have a comment here. This person has said, thank you. They haven't seen seated exercise with poles before, and thanks for the options for bad knees as well.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, even with therapists, you know, initially in the first few years, therapists were just using it for, you know, all those benefits I talked to you about for walking. But I would say now they use them in a lot of places just as much for the seated and standing exercises.
Okay. Let's see.
Someone said here, I had learned to start walking with putting the poles behind my back.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify, absolutely. So what I did was I showed you 2 different techniques. So when you are using the poles for exercises, I would say, you know, keep your elbows bent. The poles are more in front because you get more stability. And then same when you're walking with poles. If you're using poles for balance, and just to help you to walk further or just to enable you to walk, again, we've got 2 different techniques, which actually are on our website if you want to see the videos. It's urbanpoling.com. So the activator technique is for balance, where your elbow is bent, the poles are more in front, and it's just opposite arm and leg. However, what this person mentioned with putting the poles behind your back is absolutely right. When you are doing the more traditional Nordic walking, or we've coined it as urban poling technique. So that there is a video, and you're absolutely right. And that was the one I just showed at the end, where your elbows are straight and your poles on a diagonal. And then as I'm pushing forward, the poles do go more, sometimes they stop around your hip, or some of them at times they go right behind your back. So it just depends on the reason of why you want to use poles and what you want to achieve and what you feel comfortable with. So another thing too is I always talk to people and say, you know, if you're using poles for the first time, you can always talk to your therapist as well. She may, she can always do an assessment with you and help you determine, you know, which technique would be better for you.
Okay. And we have some more comments here. Love the session, and it was at the appropriate level. Another comment here. Beauty, thanks. It was a good workout, and we'll see you again before next week. Great. That's great to hear. Someone has said they liked the intensity. It was just right. Thank you. The pace was good. There's a question about the correct height of poles here, Mandy.
Okay. So when you are sitting, you want to reduce the height of your poles. And so for me, I usually use my pole number 8. I'm going to bring it down to pole number 3, because when I'm sitting, I don't want my shoulders to be hunched up. I just want to have a nice upright posture, but I want my shoulders to remain relaxed and comfortable in a good position. So you just want to fix the height when you're seated to whatever you can do, so that your arm, when it's straight out like this, it's not hunched up, but you're sitting, at the same point, you're sitting nice and upright. And then again, when you're standing, you want to adjust the height so that my elbow is around about a 90-degree angle if I'm using the activator. Now, if you're using for the urban poling, you can still start off with putting it at a 90-degree, but then take it out a couple more holes down, because if you're going to do the traditional Nordic walking technique where the elbow is straight and the pole's on a diagonal, it will have to be a lot longer because you see how my arm swing is a lot longer? So therefore, my poles have to be a lot longer to accommodate for that. Okay, so that's how you can, like, some of the poles, like our urban poles that we have for fitness actually have the heights written right on them. So you can, like, for example, I'm 5'2", so it says it right on the pole 5'2". But if you don't have that kind of pole, if you've got the activator pole and you just want to do the urban poling technique, start off with your elbow being that 90 degree and then just pull a couple holes further down. And just want to let you know, you can always, if you want to do the Nordic walking and pulling technique, you can always pull off this bell-shaped tip and put on the boot-shaped tip, which actually will help you to walk faster as well if you want to do that traditional technique. And just so you know, a lot of people don't realize there is this carbide steel tip underneath. So in the winter time or on trails, if you want to hike, you can also use the poles for that reason as well.
Okay, and another comment or another question here. Does it make a difference by using different brands of poles?
Well, I mean, of course, I'm going to be, I'll just say right now, I am a bit biased because we did develop this pole, and so the main advantage of how we did it is we designed it so that it's ergonomic and that your hand always rests on it with your wrist staying in a neutral position. So it doesn't matter how much you press down on here for balance, for offloading, for weight bearing, your wrist is going to stay in a nice neutral position. Whereas what we found with the straps is that your wrist does go in a slightly extended position. And then, as I mentioned earlier, one of our concerns with the strap too is that if you look at a recent study that was done in Germany, what they found is using Nordic walking poles is really safe, but the highest rate of injury is actually related to the strap itself. So that's why I said earlier that if you're doing the exercises with us, if you don't mind not using the strap, of course that means you don't get as much of the offloading and the weight bearing, but you definitely get to do the movements with the poles and you get the balance with them as well. So that's how you can sort of augment it for it. The other thing is we just changed it. So this button shaped lock is sometimes easier for people than the turning lock. We have the turning lock as well, but I found a lot of people with different grip strength found that hard to lock and unlock. If you're going to use poles, just make sure they're good quality, because I always cringe when I hear people are buying poles from Walmart or from Costco, because you really want to have poles have a good weight bearing capacity, particularly if you're using them because you've got balance issues or you're using them because you've got a condition that might affect that. The whole idea behind a good locking system is that no matter how much you push down on that pole, it's not going to slide on you. So that's kind of the different reasoning behind the designs.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm just looking at the Q&A pod here. We do have a question. This person has the Urban Pole 300, and they would like to know how to adjust the height.
Oh, okay. I was just going to go grab them, but what I'll do is, okay, so if you have the Urban Pole 300, look at the bottom. It will have an arrow that says lock or unlock on it. So what you want to do is you want to hold the top section of the pole with one hand, and with your other hand, turn it in the direction of unlock. You could actually turn it quite hard, because particularly if you haven't changed the height before, it's going to be quite tight. So you actually may also need to get your husband to help you out, or your some people get their spouses to hold the top section and you turn the bottom section, so you can actually do it quite in a with a lot of force, and it should move. Just so you know, this is the anti-vibration feature. Some people think that's part of the locking system, and they'll really turn on that. Don't do that, because you actually can damage the pole. The whole idea is that we've got 3 anti-vibration features, because there is a lot, it's a repetitive movement that you're doing when you're outside on the asphalt, so we wanted to reduce that vibration. But at the same point, just remember that that's not your locking system, okay? That's just there to bring down stress onto your joints, and you can just lock or unlock by turning the base if you've got the Series 300 poles.
Okay. Let's see other comments here. We have people appreciating the different options and techniques. The speed was great. Someone found the workout level was low and they would appreciate more exercise.
Okay, for sure. Next time, just so you know, we will have the entire session will be of exercises, and I can definitely add quite a few more for the next time. So yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Okay. And someone's shared a comment here. They've had the urban pole for several years. They usually have it on 8 most of the time. And when they put it in hole 3, it makes the pole a lot longer.
Okay, because at first when I was reading that, I was like, okay, I know what's happened. Because you've had the pole for quite a long time, we actually changed the direction of the pole. So sorry, so when I said bring it into 3 to make it shorter for you, because it sounds like you've got one of our original poles, you need to actually bring it the opposite direction. You need to bring it to a higher number to make it shorter. So yeah, my apologies. It's good to see that your pole has lasted as long as it has, because we've actually changed that quite a long time ago, but can see how that would be confusing.
Okay. And another comment here. Thank you for the great session. Just a quick question about the sitting exercise. When you move the poles as if you are rowing or doing the breaststroke, how far should the little glutes be placed in relation to where we sit?
Oh, okay. Let me just think about that. So, yeah, okay. So when I was doing the, when we were doing the rowing, the rowing one, sorry, I think you mean I feel like that you probably mean more of the one where we were doing this one, which seems kind of like a rowing action, because the other one, when I was doing the kayaking, I had the poles up. Okay, so I would say it depends on what you feel gives you the most security. So for example, the wider the pole is apart, the more that I'm going to feel like I've got more stability. And the more that it's in front, I feel like the further I've got it in front, the more stability I feel like I've got as well. Whereas if I bring the pole together and further back, when I'm pushing it forward, the base of it is quite far back. Here, let me just go further back to show you what I mean. Okay, so if I bring the poles more out front, I'm going to feel like when I'm doing that action like this, with it being more in front, I've got more stability. Okay, so if it's wider or more in front, I've got more stability when I lean forward. If I bring it back, I can probably get more of an arm swing, and it's a bit more of a challenge, but I've got less support. So I'm going to just say that it really, kind of play around with it, particularly between this week and next week, to see what feels more, fits better with what your goals are. Do you want more of a really leaning forward and challenging your balance, or do you want to bring them more in front and have that security and stability when you're leaning forward? So again, it's all about kind of what you want to achieve when you're doing the exercise. But that's a great question.
Okay, great. We have a comment saying thank you, and then the person who had that question about having them on 8 and then putting it into hole 3, they responded and said, glad to hear that you've changed your numbering. They've had them and used them a lot, and they've lasted well. Thank you.
Oh, great. Oh, so glad to hear that.
Yeah, great. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions or comments for today. Thank you so much, Mandy, for being here and for doing this series with us. And if anyone has questions, please feel free to send me an email, and I can pass questions along to Mandy if need be. And otherwise, we'll be back again next week, same place, same time.
Okay, that's great. And also, Amy, I think there's a place on there's a link on your site that if people are interested in getting the Activator Pros, they can get them we're offering them to people on your webinar at 15% off and free shipping. So I'm not sure if that's on the website, and then, people are welcome to access our website just for a lot of resources on the techniques or research or and articles, and there's webinars. So there's a lot of free resources that you can access there as well. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your feedback, and I will see you next week. We'll add some music as well, and some more exercises, and we'll bring up the intensity for some of the people that want that.
Thanks so much, Mandy. And yes, Mandy, it is on our website. I sent a link there to your website where they can purchase. But otherwise, if you go to the page where you had registered for this webinar originally, we have that information there, and it also includes Mandy's contact information.
Yep, I'm happy to answer anyone's questions. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.